Hello friends, Molly Ponthadith here, CEO of the SOAR Community Network and co-founder of the SOAR Community Nebula. As you know by now, we are bringing to you 1,000 champions of change and community builders. And today I'm delighted to bring to you an old friend that we just reconnected, Candice Bennett. Thank you so much, Candice, for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a while since we got reacquainted, so would you please reintroduce yourself as well as to me on the current work that you're doing that's really powerful and inspiring. We'd love to hear it.
Sure. So about 4 years ago, I was brought in. I'm the new development director here at Good Shepherd Housing and Family Services. We are an affordable housing provider here in Fairfax County along the Richmond Highway corridor. We actually are a landlord, so we own 71 of our own apartments, and then we sublease another 30 in the area. We actually help working households, folks who make roughly 40 to 50% of the area median income actually afford housing. So these are folks that work and live in our community that don't qualify for any other kind of assistance because they make too much money. But the reality is they can't actually get into housing because even along Richmond Highway, which is an older part of our community, two-bedroom apartments maybe starting about $1,800 a month. And that means you need to have about $70,000 to $75,000 in income for that to be affordable at 30% of your income. And so consequently, if you happen to be, a working parent, so let's just say you're a single parent, you work in the schools, you may be making $45,000, $50,000 a year, but you actually cannot get into a two-bedroom apartment, even an older unit.
Wow. What led you to this work? How did you find out about the work? And why did you decide that this was kind of going to be your undertaking?
Sure. So 4 years ago, I actually decided to run for office. I ran for the Democratic nomination for Mount Vernon supervisor for the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors. And one of the issues that had come up for me, not only just talking to obviously the local constituents, but something that was personal is the cost of housing. My mom is a senior citizen, and she's basically reliant on her social security income, which is roughly like $1,250 a month. And when you realize that, quote, an affordable apartment, even for a senior citizen, is $1,100 a month, where do you get the rest of the money? So, but then knocking on doors and talking to families, you realize that this is a pervasive issue. It's not only impacting people who want to move into our area, it's impacting people who still live here. So seniors are trying to age in place in homes that they've owned for years. The property taxes, the maintenance, those are becoming things that are no longer affordable when even they're living on a fixed income, like a pension or Social Security. So after the election was over, I had gotten to know Good Shepherd Housing and Family Services through Leadership Fairfax. I'd actually been a 2013 graduate of LFI, and in 2014, 2015, I was actually a team advisor for that class. And David Levine, who is the president and CEO of Good Shepherd Housing, was on the team that I advised. And consequently, just things came full circle, and they were looking for a new development director after that spring and summer. And I was available and looking to do more in the community after, again, realizing what a critical issue it was and how we were not making progress on it as a community. And so coming in and doing the fundraising for this organization made a lot of sense.
Wow, it's a lot. It's a lot to do in that arena. So thanks so much for stepping up and stepping into that role. I know we certainly need it. One of the questions that we have as a part of our interview series is really looking at your personal journey as well. Have there been thoughtful, mindful leaders in your life that have supported you, mentored you? Are there stories that you can share, or perhaps one or two people that you can highlight that have supported you on your journey to becoming this conscious, mindful leader for social good?
There was certainly multiple people. I'd say that certainly one of them was Elizabeth Murphy. She was actually in my Leadership Fairfax team when I was in the class in 2013. And, her at the time, she was the head of Leadership Fairfax, and today she's now the president or executive director of the foundation for FCPS. And so just kind of, interacting with her, she's been a great mentor. And, realizing I can do more for my community on the nonprofit side. So she's been really kind of integral. And then another person that's been important in my personal journey is actually has become a good friend of mine, Linda Paulson. When I was in junior league, I was actually the president in 2013, 2014, and we really were focused that year on women who wow. And Linda Paulson had been the development director for the Women's Campaign Fund and had gone off then also to work as the philanthropy director or VP at the Washington Area Women's Foundation. And so I got to know her, and she talked a lot about how women had not ascended to leadership roles as much as we had expected, and like the growth that we might have anticipated today hadn't really happened. And so some of the things that she said to me, we had brought her in to do a speech for one of our events, just really inspired me. And that was one of the reasons and the catalyst why I ran for office a year later. And since then, she and I actually become friends. And again, her background in fundraising and women in politics has definitely been, again, another nice synergy.
Well, as you mentioned, those two mentors of yours, I'm asking now about the community builders and champions of change that you absolutely have been around most of your career. When you think of those individuals who are constantly championing for social good, are there attributes or characteristics that are consistent that you've witnessed time and time again with these folks?
A deep sense of social justice. Just that, looking around and realizing that our community can be more than we are, that even when we're, feeling pretty good about ourselves, that we need to still recognize that there may be people that are left behind. And if we've been blessed with good fortune, we need to make sure that everyone around us in our community that sometimes we don't always see needs to get a hand up too. And so those of us that have that opportunity need to keep looking around and offering that hand.
That's great. That's really great. Are there other causes, movements, or initiatives that you're supporting and helping to advance in terms of accomplishing missions that you'd like to highlight?
So obviously affordable housing is the key one for me, but the other one is definitely just women in leadership, whether it's women in business, women in politics, women, I graduated from high school in 1994, happy to age myself. And, that was 1992 was the year of the woman in, coming to power in Congress, right? We had all of those great new women and, as for a young high school graduate, it was exciting to think about that there was a lot of opportunity available to us. And yet, fast forward, and again, it was, 2013, 2014, I, looking around and realizing it didn't happen. We plateaued, and that change just has been barely even incremental, and in some cases even fallen backwards. Just the amount of women in CEO roles in business, the women in politics. Virginia has never had a woman in at the top of the ticket. We haven't had a woman U.S. senator. Last year, that was the first time we've had multiple women enter Congress. And yet here I came from Texas, which is, more a very conservative state, and we've had far more women, in those same roles. So definitely championing women's voices at the top, wherever that may be, across industries, obviously CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, but also, again, politics, because if, we're not at the table, we're the meal.
Yeah, that's right. When things have been challenging and perhaps you play to win and you don't end up winning and life has been, constantly up and down, as I know you've been through and I've been through myself, Is there a quote or philosophy that you would like to share with our audience that you tap into, that you go to reset and refocus?
You know, it's obviously a tried and true one, but really there's nothing to fear but fear itself, right?
Love that
You know,
one.
keep going forward.
That's great. Well, if you could describe a better world, what would that better world look like through your eyes?
Oh, I don't even know where to start, right? Many things I would make better in this world, especially today where things are. Uh, Certainly, I'd start with housing. I think housing is a human right. I think we all should be able to access a roof over our head without it bankrupting us. From there, obviously, better, affordable healthcare system. Right now, that you shouldn't be getting stories in the Washington Post about how people are being bankrupted from an emergency intestinal surgery. Then find out that they're not covered after the fact. That's just wrong. Not to mention, I think that we're a country of great opportunity, and I want to see people continue to aspire to be American. So we should have basically borders that encourage that immigration.
Candice, what can our community do to support you and the mission that you are really focused on right now? And how can we learn more about you and the cause?
I'd say besides obviously the obvious answer, which is to support Good Shepherd Housing and find family services through donations, attend our events. I mean, that's an easy answer. The bigger one for affordable housing as a whole in our region is actually being more open to inclusionary zoning. And I know that's very technical, but we don't recognize that, especially here in Fairfax County in Northern Virginia, but the way our county looks is really based on very old, historical, subtle racist boundaries where we had everything kind of clustered in sections. And we look that way because of that. And so today we really need to open our minds and quite frankly our hearts to having an increased density in our communities. Allowing people to basically work or live where they work, right? It shouldn't be a privilege to live where you work. And that should be, something that everyone has a right to access, not just folks that have, more disposable income than everybody else.
What is the website? Where can we get more information?
Absolutely. So for Good Shepherd, you can visit us at www.goodhousing.org.
Great. Thank you so much for your time today, Candice. I really appreciate you, and I appreciate all the work that you're doing, as well as everybody that's a part of your team. Thanks so much. You're welcome. For those that are watching, please remember to nominate yourself or someone in your community who's making a positive impact. We'd love to feature them and highlight the causes you care about. Please visit us at nebula.soarcommunitynetwork.com. Thank you so much, everyone. Talk to you soon. Thank you, Candice.